How you doing?
We're like, does she know what to do?
No.
Or was it 6 p.m. Pacific
No,
time?
no,
Or
it's all good. I got it. Yeah.
I was a guest.
Okay,
Like,
good, because
what do
now
I?
I don't feel so dumb. Because I haven't done it before either. And then I heard Allie in the background. I was like, yes, Allie, just tell him what to do.
Tell me there's some kind of arrow or some shit. I don't know. Like,
I think I got it. This is the first time I figured it out. It's all good. How you doing?
well, I'm well. I'm well. How are you?
Good, good, good.
What's
Yeah.
what's the status up there? What's aside from, well, let's see. It's not so if you're probably in like twos and threes in temperature, right?
Oh, temperature. Okay, well, we'll say Celsius.
Yeah.
Uh,
Because of course
yes, you're right. You're right.
most
That's what
people,
we are.
well, yeah, because I know this, and that's how there comes a point where there's not this linear measurement. Like all of a sudden, when it gets to a certain temperature in Fahrenheit, it's like -90 in
Yeah,
Celsius. It's like because
that will never happen here.
32 degrees in Fahrenheit is supposed to be 0 in Celsius.
We've actually been amazing. Our weather, it's been sunny, it's been warm, it's like uh, close to 10 degrees Celsius for this time of year is crazy. No snow right
Yeah.
now, but it's probably coming. So I the only bright side of COVID has been our winter weather right now. It's been amazing.
Oh,
So,
well, I'm not sure what COVID has to do with it, but I'm glad it's working out for you. The
because it's the only thing that's good right now.
But I
is
don't think
the
for all
weather.
the times I've been out that way, I don't think. No, I went to Calgary, which isn't really where you're at, but like
You were in Kelowna. That's
yeah,
really close.
but it wasn't cold. I'm saying I was
No, no.
about
Oh,
to
okay.
say like
Yeah, yeah.
the only time I've been in the West when it's cold was Calgary, and it was a Chinook, which of course I didn't know what that meant. So I'm like outside, and Dean Somerset. I don't think he hosted it. Michael Maxwell hosted it, but Dean Somerset was like driving me around. First time I met him, and I'm like, "Yo, for real? Like, all you need is a hoodie here." And like in Calgary, and in my mind, that's like you know Indianapolis or Minneapolis or like these Midwestern American cities that they all have like skywalks so that you never have to walk
Okay, yeah,
outside when it's
yeah.
really really bad. Almost every downtown in the Midwest has this. Milwaukee, like the mall is like inside, so that's where I learned the word Chinook, which doesn't really sound like a nice word. Like
No.
I could have like for all I know, I'm saying something I'm not supposed to be saying, and I guess it's like some kind of wind that makes it
Calgary has
warm.
crazy weather.
Well, because
I don't even understand how they deal with their weather. It's not, yeah.
I'm not gonna say it was warm, but it was like not uncomfortable. Like if
Yeah.
all you had was a hoodie, it was like no big deal. And I'm expecting it to be like Canada Goose weather. It's
We're
like
not all that. It's not all that bad in Canada. I think a lot of Americans think we live in igloos and it's like freezing all the time. It's not.
well,
It's
hold
not.
on now. I've been even before I took the job with Canada basketball, I've been to Toronto a lot, and Toronto is not warm. Like you could say whatever. Like when you're in the winter, like Toronto is, you might as well be in like in the coldest place on earth. Like it's rough
Yeah.
because it's also like right on the water, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just like Chicago. So if there is a presumption it's based on Toronto, then it's quite accurate. Now, I can't comment on being because like Vancouver only been in the Vancouver, Victoria in like the winter. Yeah, I'm sorry, in the summer we were
Yeah.
there. We were there a couple years ago, and that place is. I mean, Victoria is as advertised.
This
That's
You
nice.
guys need to, it's the Okanagan. You need to come here.
Well,
This
well,
needs to be the
I was
next
there,
holiday.
and that was very nice. We actually tried a couple summers ago to put together It was kind of like when who's Greg's partner's name there when they at the gym? What was his name? He's another good
Oh,
fellow, but
that
I forget
you
his
mean the
name. I feel miserable. I forget his name. Oh man. Anyway, it was like
gym
when they're
partner?
well, it was the dude that ran the gym, and Greg was always at the school, and they ran the seminar together.
Oh, oh my gosh, I'm having brain fart.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god,
Anyway, when they I guess they decided to
Chris!
move.
Oh my god, I
Yes,
just had a.
Chris Collins, is
Like,
that
how
it?
can I forget that?
Yeah. Great. Both ran a top-notch event, and it
Yep,
was
yep,
also really cool to see it get bigger every
yep.
year. That was cool. And I guess when they decided to do, not do it anymore, then we all a group of us looked into getting like a big house in the summer and just hang out and
Yeah, yeah.
I guess wine is a big deal. Not that I know from it's like because that's like a big deal there, right? Like wine, it's wine country.
Oh yeah, huge. I actually just mentioned this to Allie the other night. Like the amount of not only wine but ciders and coolers and alcohol. Like I feel when you go to the States, you're just ripped off because it's just beer.
Uh,
You come
uh,
here and it is like a massive amount of selection. We're winning in that department. We're
okay.
winning in our alcohol department.
Yeah, Ali just said it's also snowboarding country.
Oh yeah,
The well, the if you're winning in the alcohol department, there's less of a win in the energy drink department because
there is.
there's
Yeah.
some different they I guess the stuff that they're in our energy drinks they put the same label on it in Canada, and I'm like, nah, this ain't it. This is not the same. This is not it.
I don't even think like you know how hard it is to even find a bang drink here, and that the Allie was the first person where I was like, what even is that?
Well,
And
my minimal contact with the CEO there, I never met him in person, but we kind of dealt with him many years ago when we were trying to get Redline when we were at the Sixers. And and the reality is that we were just looking for it to fall off the back of the truck. But we were gonna pay for it. We weren't asking it for free. And we then lied and said that we were going to put it on the sideline of an NBA team, which was a lie. We wouldn't be able to do that. And they still we just wanted to know what was in it. And the guy we were talking to, he went back to the CEO and he's like, look, we don't think you're going to try to reproduce our drink, but we're not telling it to you. And I'm like, all right, man, like whatever, we'll just buy it, somewhere else. It doesn't have to. My point is like that dude isn't going to change
oh no,
what he puts in it just because Canada.
no, no,
but
no,
but
not at
so
all.
but I think it was the Calgary event when I was introduced to a fairly mediocre quality energy drink, but one with a very interesting name, Beaver Buzz.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard of that. I'm not an energy drink person, so
Yeah,
but you'll never forget it now because of that name. You'll
well,
never forget it.
well, I think what I didn't forget also was that at the seminar I was teaching, there was a fellow sitting in the front row. Um, I'm not sure his level of social adaptation was high because he started to make multiple beaver jokes
Oh.
to the point where my reaction was, "Oh, hey, that's you. You said that, not me." Yeah, and they were like dad jokes. They were not funny. But he didn't. I don't think he recognized after the third
No,
one
no.
that it was not the right thing to be saying in a public forum.
Probably
Um,
because in Canada nobody cares.
I don't quite remember it that way. So maybe I was the one that made the fuss, but
Yeah.
I said I don't think we need to discuss the beaver buzz like that. Now,
You'll
actually,
never forget the name.
I think I'm not shocked. Somebody maybe can type in. I think beaver buzz is actually made in Oregon because people in Oregon they know what it is. Like some people in Oregon know what it is. But then that's the big energy drink. So, but like I
Well,
know
now I
getting
have to research it.
well, I know Red Line, which is my favorite, is not the same in Canada. Like it's totally Like it's not like you're having water, but it's close. It's not and of course no one really knows what's in it because it all falls
Yeah.
under
But it's got to be
proprietary.
different though. It's got to be
Yeah,
different from
yeah,
what you get
because
in the
I
States.
think it's pretty well known that in Canada the energy drink level is more regulated. But
Yeah,
what about
but our
Mountain Dew?
beer is
Can you get Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew. Oh yeah.
You did okay. I don't think I've ever seen it in.
Oh
Well, I
yeah, you
mean,
can get it here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean the vast areas of Canada that I've explored, I don't remember seeing Mountain Dew, but
Oh.
it's
Oh yeah. No. Yeah. That.
many.
Oh yeah. You can get Mountain Dew.
All
Um.
right.
Hey, so am I allowed to? I'm allowed to like ask some questions, aren't I?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get
that's
to pick
okay.
your brain and
I
stuff.
told you this is there's nothing like, I'm very glad because you're clearly not acting nervous. You have no reason to be nervous. It's just two people talking
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
haven't talked in a while for whatever reason. So go ahead, ask what you want.
Good.
Make my life easy for a
I
minute.
have some good shit
Hey,
here.
hey, now I got to give you the rules. Now, I don't mind saying this because every time I do like a podcast, a lot of times it's with people that I don't know, and I don't mind doing it. It's good for them. It's good to I can get a plug or two. But I will ask you to do two things. Number one, do not ask me anything that has someone's name or their
Oh no.
commercial brand in it,
Nope.
because I will be happy to say whatever you want me to say. I'll figure it out, but that way I can speak on a topic or a
Yep.
concept rather about some idiot or their nonsensical three-letter
Got it.
brand. So
Got
go
it.
ahead, shoot.
Okay, where do I want to start? I'm gonna start I'm gonna start with a really good personal question
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, yeah.
So I kind of feel like, everybody's all fluffy and rainbows and unicorns and everything's all good in the world. And nobody really talks about the dark, crappy crap. And so tell us, as for Charlie, what has been one of the most negative things that's happened personally in your life that has made you completely switch your view, your vision, your direction in life, maybe? What
Uh,
has that been?
I was about to be grand and answer very, very quickly, but I think and what I was about to say was my divorce, which I could rationalize that the process of what led up to it and going through it is almost like a TV movie. Like it was horrible. It was
Yeah.
horrible. I am not. This isn't slander, so I'll be happy because someone else said it, which she did say. The therapist that I had seen only I think twice with my ex-wife. After that, she went on to describe her quote as a despicable human being.
Mm.
So there's a little bit of vindication with that. I tend to think though that the changes that process seemed to spurn probably were starting beforehand, where I felt like I started to accumulate my 151 and one, which I don't know if you ever heard me talk about, but it's three lists,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and it started to come to life. Like I knew what it was. It wasn't something that I talked about like as
Mm-hmm.
and I don't talk about a lot because I don't really know that that's what people want to hear. But um, I think so. Whatever led up to that. So we're talking like 2000, late 2014, 2015, where I just became a much safer person, and a lot of the things that would really bother me didn't seem to bother me as much. A lot of the things that I thought that were very important for me to exist in my life sphere that unfortunately still don't. And I'll still say unfortunately, like for instance, uh, there's not a day that goes by that I don't miss being in the NBA. But it's nothing more than a nice to have now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know exactly what that is that has motivated that emotion that I think you're asking about. But I look at there's been about five or six of those things that you're asking me, probably since I was maybe 22 or 23. And every time people said that everything happens for a reason. Maybe a lot of things that we say to other people or people say to us for different reasons.
Because they don't know what to say. So that's the easiest
Well,
thing to say, I think.
I don't think that's unfair. I'm going to go a different direction though, where you'll understand it later.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. You'll be better off in the end. What I have come, because I've had, I think, because I delineate this. So I think there's been five like seismic life changing events. My divorce is almost the most recent. I don't think there's really been anything. There's a couple things got close, but didn't really blow up. Probably because I had enough of a parachute with the other things in my life
Yeah.
that maybe if it was 4 or 5 years earlier. But here's the thing. You'll be better off in the end. Everything happens for a reason. The thing about every time, the first time they say it, it's like whatever. Like your response is very fair. Like they have nothing else to say. The second time, it's different people. You're in a different place in your life, so it's different people saying the same thing. But after the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, they're right. Every one of them are right. I don't think they know they're right when they say it.
What do you mean they're right? What do you mean by that?
Okay, so here was the first.
You're talking about everything happens for a reason. That's
no, or I'll say, yeah, like whatever the cliche is.
Yeah.
I think it's true. So every time my life got better. So I obviously learned.
I see what you're saying.
Or how I would measure
Yeah.
the things that I would say my life got better. Where here, and then it's here, you're fucked, and then you're down, and then at some point, one day you wake up and you're like up here.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
then you get smacked in the face, and then you're here. And every time they say that it'll be better, you'll be better off, it'll happen, and every single time it happened. I was just on a call today with someone, and I don't know exactly what my role in New York City is going to be after we move to Florida. I have every intention to fly back. I have every intention to keep a facility, if it makes financial sense. But none of that is 100% in my mind as far as a business plan, a life plan. And what I was telling her was, you know what? I don't remember who said this, like where I heard this from, because I didn't make it up. But there's nothing wrong with me just saying, hey, New York, I declare victory. I dominated that city in what I do for 10 years, and I dominated twice because I had a big pit stop a couple years ago where the things that I was accumulating was robbed from me. Someone else took it from me, and then I built it all back up again. And so every time those things have hit, and a lot of them for me have been job related. When one of those things is when I had been dubbed by KJ as the next great young strength coach in the NBA. In 06, we were number one in games missed, and somehow I'm expendable. So that was very disappointing. And at that age, at that time, it's like that defined me. Like my job being in the NBA defined me. And I'm like, oh my God, like what are we gonna do? What are you gonna do? So you keep working because you can't not work. You need to make money. And then all of a sudden, dang, like it's like you don't care anymore. And I think the change, like I there was a point. Here's another little anecdote. I don't remember what his name was or is, because I'm sure he's still around. Hold on. Hey, do you remember one of Boyle's kids? And he only did like the seminars. Brian something. He comes up to me in Providence, and he goes, "I don't know what it is, but you seem like a way happier person."
Hey, that's one of my other questions coming up.
And I think I had started to recognize that, but then for someone else to recognize it, it really, because then once you have that confidence, then it perpetuates itself. So so my divorce was, took pretty much almost all of 2015, a year, like, from 15 into 16. And I'd say 6 months after that, like everything was really in a very good place. Huh? Sean, what? What was his last name? Yeah. So Sean, if you're listening, thank you. Like it's I would never forget. So I don't know if that actually answers, because it's
It
not one
does.
event. It's not one event, but I definitely would tell other people that if they are having a struggle, it doesn't suck any less while it's happening. But if you play it right, whatever that means for you, I have now, you believe. Like, you can't believe something unless you fail. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I probably alluded to, in a lot of clinical things, where if we all knew how many years of experience some of these internet messengers, and
Yeah.
everybody should be allowed to say whatever they want. It's our job to filter it and decipher it. However, if you have to put like your letters after your name, if you put how many years you were a professional, 3/4 of those clowns, no one would ever listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some major names that have a tremendous following that aren't even out for like 10 years. They're not even out
Yeah.
for 5 years.
Yeah.
And people listen. That doesn't mean what they're saying is ridiculous. But what I would say in condescent would be, I don't think you have enough experience to believe anything you're saying. You're just repeating what someone else said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not only the amount of years of experience, it's also the repetitions that you have. So the years contract the repetitions, but you can't fail. Like, you don't know. You can't, you don't believe anything until you fail, succeed, and then fail again, and then succeed again. It's like this wave. And I think because I believe what I believe, because I have failed, and every time it got better. So now if I fail, I'm like, it's not as much of a smack in the face, because I have a very strong belief that it will be better in some way.
Yeah. And you've
But
learned from that too.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
everything that, any failure or any of those shitty moments, the stuff that you actually comes out of it is pretty mind blowing, even though at the time you can't see that.
Right. It doesn't, in no way am I saying that someone shouldn't feel any kind of grief, sorrow, disappointment, anger,
Yeah.
hate, if it's funneled in the right way. None of that, like, that's all part of the deal. And it doesn't mean that that's not going to happen. But if you can play it right and channel all that negativity, and you have enough of a parachute. Not everybody has that parachute.
Yeah.
Which can mean a lot of things. It can mean money. It can mean social, people around you to help when you need help, in many ways. But it's better every time. And
so during that time, then can you look at that and go, man, I was so lucky because I had, bang, 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 those 3 people in my corner, those 5 people in my corner, or you really had to, get your friggin' ass up and head going, and it was all done by you?
I think because of when not only as a physical therapist, where you're in relatively tight quarters with your clients or patients, but also always being part of Canada basketball. And now I'm going to get emotional, but there was I was never forced or compelled to be by myself.
Yeah.
So that if I was by myself, it was not like this prolonged thing. We were talking about on the way to go tanning tonight, on how I'm not against like alcohol, but I might drink like 7 times a year, 10 times, like whatever. And I almost never, like, I don't understand the notion of when you're in those places, you go to the bar and start pounding, because for me, like, I don't, it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't, I don't know how to drown my sorrow. Now, maybe I'm drinking the wrong hooch. I don't know. But like, but I think also, even though, well, look, I'm fairly heavy for my height, but I have a fairly high tolerance apparently, for being small, and so that might be part of it too. Where this is like annoying, like at Disney. Look, I don't mind paying 14, 15 bucks a pop, for the fruity drinks that I like, but I do want to get some kind of action out of this
Yeah.
when I'm done. So I bring this up. I bring this up because there was one time, they don't make it anymore, but there was some, one of the brands had made, like, it was one of the first flavored vodkas. Like they had a whole line, and they're all knockoffs. So it wasn't like Fruity Pebbles vodka. It was something that looked like Fruity Pebbles, but then you taste it, and it tastes just like Fruity Pebbles. So my favorite was Mountain Dew flavored vodka. Now I can't remember what they called it. Oh, dude, this was like brilliant. Like if you look it up. So hey, somebody that's in our little list here, somebody look up, just Google Mountain Dew vodka for us, please. It had a different name because they didn't have any of the.
But it tasted like it. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I probably had 3/4 of a bottle left. This was when I was, I don't remember where, like it was in my house in New Jersey. And I took out my little Green Lantern shot glass. And so George is telling us it was called Dude vodka because
Oh, really?
Mountain Dew, like dude, like
I gotta search that up.
no, I know they don't make it anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's an American thing.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, dude, you can't even get redlined in Canada. What are you? Okay, so I Jeff Kubos will remember this because we were talking about this
Yes.
at the time, and I knocked down like way more than half of this like vodka sized bottle, and it like didn't do shit. Like so that was like my point is like being alone was never something that I was forced to
Yeah.
do, and I never searched for it because I guess if you're alone and you're in a rough place, you start putting it back, but that doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not against it. It's just not my jam. So always being around people, and then being around people and the being compelled to serve people.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to have a bad day. And I'm sure I did.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure I did.
Exactly.
Even though I probably didn't recognize it. Or maybe I did looking back, I recognize it because I'm a different person than during that really difficult time. Because it's like I'm still Incredible Hulk. Like I'm always angry. Like that's just how I don't mind. Like that's how God made me. And that's why I have to overcompensate with being silly. I mean, God made me look a certain way. So if I don't smile, then people are going to be like, oh, that dude's an asshole. And I get that. Like, I understand. But, I'm like, come on, I'm 5'4". You're really going to be that intimidated? Like, I hate that. I hate when people fucking say that, like, oh, he's so intimidating. Man, you don't know, eh? Yeah, and like this and that. So always being around people and being forced, because there's nothing, I take my job, like, whether I get paid $1 million or $1, I do the same. That was a big help, and then you start to find out because you have loyal clients that they're going through a lot of the same things,
Yeah.
and then you certainly be diligent to not cross any boundaries, particularly as a healthcare professional. But there was so many people that I know that were clients who are friends and et cetera, that were very important during that time period.
And that's why I asked you that question, because as you said, there's so many people that are going through stuff, but
yeah.
It's just nothing. We don't talk about that. Right. So I find that the whole, the shit part of life, or the mental health stuff of the business, something major happens, and then it kind of surfaces and people start to talk about it, and then it just drowns again, and then we don't talk about it. So it's nice to kind of get it out there.
Yeah, and it I think the right thing to say, it does hurt me a little bit when you may not know what someone else is actually going through, but they're fucking it up. They're doing some things that you can help them, and usually that person probably has some, not necessarily personal authority, but if it's in a workplace, like they're above, like they have different responsibilities that might be more valuable than someone. So it's hard to be their mentor. It's hard to be their
Yes.
hard to be their Jiminy Cricket. And that's, yeah, I've gotten to that point where sometimes you can see, like, he's just overmatched, or like, yeah, like it's awful. Like he's just, she's just got, every meeting she wants to say like, oh my, I want to be respectful to everybody. Like, you're not trying to be respectful of everybody's time. You're just trying to get off the call. Like that's, because she's overwhelmed with whatever her life is delivering. And it's like, it shows.
Yeah.
And I even, in that case, I private messaged, because everything is Zoom. I'm like, you doing all right? I'm going to be point blank. Like you screwed the pooch on that meeting. Like it was clear that you were disturbed and distracted.
Yeah.
And in email, it's kind of easy to say whatever, but they appeared to be not angry that I messaged them. It's hard to say if they were thankful or not. But that's when you see it with other people and you want to help, but you can't, because either they won't take it, or it's not a safe enough environment to even get into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, just say, because a lot of times people will expect me to be the one to do it, because I usually feel very safe for a number of reasons in communicating to others in challenging situations, or even hostile situations. It doesn't bother me. It's like, no, let me do it. I'll do it. Like, I'm good. I don't care. Like, especially when it's business, because business is like, hire slow and fire fast. Like, I ain't worried about it. Like, because something went wrong if you can't, like, and you learn that in other places where I've worked, where everyone is equal. It's like, some people are more replaceable than others.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
when decisions are being made that put value on things that have no value, and they can be replaced very easily, like, dude, what do you do? I'll do it. I'll be the one. But then there's even times then be like, yo, I'm out. I can't even get into it. Because it's not even a fear of physical safety. It's more a fear of, man, fuck this. Like, this isn't gonna go well. Like, this isn't gonna go well. And that comes from experience as well. And I'm not even sure I'm always making the right decision when I say I'm not messing with it. Because most of the time I will mess with it. I remember, so it had to be like 04 or 05 when we traded for Chris Webber from the Sacramento Kings to Philly. And at that time, Chris Webber was still a major superstar. And during my time in Philly, it was Allen Iverson and everybody else. Now, there was other really, really good players, but it wasn't like now where like every team in the NBA has at least 2 or 3 mega superstars. So now we have 2 superstars. You have AI and Webb. And multiple, myself included, had a relationship with him before coming to the Sixers. So there was a high level of comfort and safety in communicating with him. I don't remember what it was, but both players and staff were like leaning on Chris to be like, yo, say something. Like, dude, like come on, like you're Chris Webber. Like, that's not what they were saying. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And this is Chris Webber. Like, if this was Sacramento, like, he could be mayor at that time. Like, he could do anything. But now you walk into Philly, and Chris is like, just like, probably the opposite of what most people would perceive an NBA superstar. But he said, like, nah, like, it's not my team. Mm-hmm. Like, we wanted it to be his team because he had the things that would help us all do well. He's like, yo, it's that little dude's team. Like, he's got to do it. And Allen isn't going to do it because Allen didn't have those things. And there's an example of nothing hostile, but we knew Chris could make the situation better with his voice and his leadership and his influence, but he didn't feel safe to do it. It's not like he cared, not like he thought Allen Iverson was going to stab him. He just didn't. It's like he just didn't have it, enough of his own social equity with the team.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
these are all words that I use when I talk about these topics. And to go back to your other question, these are just things that I have learned from all of these horrible mistakes and things that they're mistakes. Nothing got put on me. All those 5 or 6 bad things that happened, they're all my fault, and that's okay. Yeah, and that's but you gotta be, when you feel good enough, you can handle them, and then the same issue isn't that big a deal.
So, okay. So then when you talked about, the comment, you just seem like a happier person here. So looking at, I'm gonna pull Allie in here for a second. So if I look at the pre-Allie time, right? You'd be going to a whatever course, seminar, wherever you're at, right? And it's kind of like, here comes Charlie. Charlie's walking in the room. Everybody's like, holy shit. And then now it's like a totally changed guy. So is it, am I like, is it that extreme? Because I just love Allie to death. So is it Allie?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you look at yourself now, before that, can you say, wow, what a difference? Like,
No question.
One
No
Charlie
question.
to Charlie 2, it's a completely different person.
Yeah, no question. No question. And if she represents that era of my life, then that's fine, because it's other things but it all coincides with removing some terrible things in my life, and then picking a new team.
Yeah.
And I picked the Hall of Famer. So I think that's fair. Now it still disappoints me if that's what I was perceived.
No.
But
I'll just add, you seem like a much happier person.
No, but here's the thing. Like, I know from that world that I'm really not. It doesn't like super excite me to go out and do that anymore for a number of reasons, and because I don't like competing with garbage. And right now the market really is excited to consume garbage.
Yeah.
And that's I don't like, because back then I made a lot of mistakes, and because I might have still been able to deliver some form of charisma with what I was saying. I was trying to help people by telling them what they were doing is wrong. And the logic of that is not very fallible, except the world is not logical. So
exactly.
when I stopped doing that, even though I was right with everything that I was saying, and I still believe every single thing, I don't say it. Like, remember, I just when I said you're gonna ask me questions, don't ask me questions about so and so, because all that person really wants to hear, they know what I'm gonna say. Charlie, I'm not familiar with Rhonda Catt, and she says that you should always look up when you dead. What do you expect me to say? What you really want me to do is just run down somebody, which will probably be funny for a second.
Yeah. No.
But looking back, that's not who I want to be. And it pains me to see, because what's going to happen is, like, some of these individuals, and a little bit hurts, because I know I helped them get on the map. They'll say those things. And I don't even know if they're saying about me, because I know for a fact that they say things differently when I'm there versus when I'm not there. And it's not a commentary on the overall quality of the message. There are some things that are very valuable, and other things that are just complete garbage. Like, just nonsense. I don't understand why people do it. I'm not that smart. Like, it's not like I'm the only one that sees it. But I think part of what I would hope is that, because I don't do that anymore, it seems like it's really, really a different message.
Yeah.
And I'm always very critical of what I do in these presentations, and no one can tell me anything that's bad, because I don't have to listen to them. I just have to be respectful for a moment if they say something, and that doesn't really happen. Like, if I shit the bed, which has happened, and I get the feedback, and I'm like, I'm going to dominate it next time. And then I am looking for that feedback on round 2 to make sure I did it right. And then that helps me be funny. I still study stand-up comedy a lot, and especially for certain crowds, it's probably more important to be funny
Yeah.
than mega
100% on that one. Yeah.
be detailed. And also one of the things I was coached that may be part of that type of feedback is stop trying to tell people everything you know, and just help them get better. And then it becomes incumbent on the speaker to actually know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because and that's what I struggle with, because I find that because of how my brand or my message began, people still expect me to teach them how to be a bad physical therapist. And I won't. I've never done it. I won't do it. There's certainly people out there that do it. There's people out there that be like, oh yeah, we let in non-healthcare providers in our manual therapy course. We just expect them to follow the laws of where they work. Are you kidding me? You're telling me that some trainer who refuses to break in his hat and weighs about 145 pounds soaking wet, so he hates lifting, he hates everything, so he's going to go find this other model that professes to be about fitness, and it's all it is rehab and special exercises, and he's going to pay $12.95 for a manual therapy course and not use it. Get out of here with that. Like that's and of course what that instructor will say at dinner is a little bit different than what they say in the course. So by kind of getting away from that, I hope has made me have a broader audience, because it wasn't like so if you go back to 2013 or even 14, it wasn't like people weren't listening to me, but you always want to be able to help more people, and for those that are more interested in a more a deeper message, in terms of detail, I'll do that too. But it's typically not going to be like, I was talking to Michael Maxwell. I would be happy to come up there, because that's where he's based in, relatively in BC. I think he's in Victoria Island, and I'm like, dude, it's got to be like there's not going to be any syllabus. There's not going to be any list of what this is at 9 o'clock. This is at 10 o'clock. No. I'll have every PowerPoint I ever did. We're going to have an internet connection, and y'all just going to ask questions. And the next thing you know, 5 hours later, you'll get the first answer. And that's an interesting marketing strategy. It can't be a lot of people in the room. So the financial commitment would be a little bit different than what people are used to. But then I will deliver something that no one else has ever done in this space. That excites me. But just doing the regular seminars doesn't excite me so much anymore. And that's where, you see, even before the pandemic, like I just wasn't doing it a lot because I just didn't enjoy it. It's like, I'd be like, all right, Rhonda, do me a favor. Please ask me what time it is. Go ahead, just do it.
What time is it? Is that what I'm supposed to ask you?
Yeah, no, yes, exactly. But you see how like uncomfortable that was? I just stared at you.
Yeah.
So I'll be like, okay, I'll be like, guys, does anybody have any questions? Yeah. Just say no. Just say no. They won't even say no. And I'm like, okay. I'm out. I'm like, this is. I don't enjoy it anymore. I don't enjoy it. The best ones that I did, most of them, was at Equinox, because those were 3 days, and there was their top level folks. And as the years went on, their top level became a little bit lower. But in the beginning, like the first Train Equals Rehab ever was filmed live, at an Equinox. And many of them to this day, I stick with. I say, you with me forever. You don't have to kiss my ass, but you can't be blowing up balloons. So I can say it if you don't ask. But I remember one time, like I asked a question, and he was like, he didn't. I'm like, and I just laid down on the table and like went like this, and he answered. I was trying to teach them, guys, like, I am here. I am getting paid significant, like very well. ask me questions, because if I only tell you what I have on the slides, that means I'm only telling you what I think you should know.
Yeah, yeah.
I would way rather tell you what you think you should know. And again, getting away from the seminars allowed me to kind of put that message closer together. So no, I'm happy to do it. And look, if there's a situation that makes sense, but now that time that I was, like, I'm still traveling just as much. I'm just going to work, with people as a coach or a therapist rather than teaching a seminar.
Yeah.
Outside of Perform Better, like for what they've done for me, I'll never not do that. That'll never happen. So
one thing you said in there takes me to another question. I can't remember exactly what you said, but so I guess maybe if we, well, it's not just up and coming coaches, because I think there's a lot of coaches in the industry that still are missing the boat in things. And I mean, I'm probably one of them, but just where would you think, or maybe what are people, I don't know if I should use the word failing, but maybe what are they failing most at? Like, do you find that people struggle more with the assessing, or are they struggling more with how to program specifically? Like, what do you wish people did a better job of?
Yeah, it's nothing to do with coaching, because we were all that coach. We were all that therapist once, where somebody with more experience or maybe more talent or more vision could very easily speak very critically of the choices. So everybody was there. So I'm not going down that road.
Yeah.
We all, like, I know what I was doing in the year, what year? 2000. I was in the NBA in 99, 2000. So 2000, 2001, I was with the Trenton Shooting Stars. And I remember what I was doing for, like, my intern was my supervisor from PT school. And he was, like, a very accomplished sports physical therapist. What we were doing for patellar tendonitis, I would blow my nose multiple times in today. So I'm not going there.
Yeah.
But the answer is actually very easy. I wish people would be able to hear maybe what we're talking about, or anything that's digestible, and have a filter, and find no kinship to the person. I've been around enough where some degree of personal relationships have been able to be developed, because something that's a little different when you go back to early middle 2000s, when information exploded for our professions. It wasn't like it is now in terms of the sheer volume of information.
Right.
So you were able to kind of be a little bit closer to people. And then in addition to that, I have never not called someone back. Maybe it doesn't happen right away. I've never turned down a podcast, even though sometimes they're annoying. But I hope I never demonstrate that, because I don't know that it's going to be annoying. But after a while, you're asking these, that's why I want to do these things. This is like just two people talking.
Yeah,
that's why. But I wish people would be able to filter why the person is saying what they're saying. At which point you now have an extra layer of information to decide if you're going to adopt. Because really, it's not like evaluation or train. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you even listening to this individual? Or why are you doing all 10 things that they say instead of only 6? Because 7, 8, 9, and 10 are absolutely ludicrous. Now, the reality to some of those positions that I'll take, I'm at dinner with these people. I'm in the car. They think I don't understand what they're saying because they're talking Czech. I know exactly what they're saying. I can understand almost every Eastern European language there is. I can't speak it. And I'm like, they're MFing everybody, and they're like, we all paid to be students in their course. So I have a little bit extra layer, and I'm sure other people do as well. But I would actually give the solution to, if you don't know anything about the individual other than what they are presenting, which is just information, then kind of, side eye the situation a little bit. But if you do know that the person has something in their life, because this all kind of tracks back to 151 and 1, that you want. So it kind of like, well, if you want what somebody has, you got to do what they did. Well, it's not as linear as that. But if that's also kind of why I am very, I kind of changed my whole social media thing. Not that it's less information, but it's less fire hose. That
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
That goes back to the advice of just help people instead of
Yes.
trying to tell them everything you know. Now, look, it's easy. It's easy for anybody to say that now because maybe I don't get to this point without that, initial start. But that's fine. It's how things evolve and grow. But I'm going to tell you a lot about Disney. I'm going to tell you a lot about Transformers. I'm going to tell you because these are all things that look here. Hold on. So let me see. So what do we got here? We got you got a Funko Pop of Daniel Bryan, and that's Kyle Rayner, who's the White Lantern, and that's Scrooge McDuck. What do we got up here? You can't maybe can't see. So over here, oh, there's Scrooge. He's my favorite. Yeah, and yeah, over here. Let's see. Hold on. Maybe we can't find it. What do we got over here? There's the living room. All right. Anyway, so
The living
so
room.
so I'm like, if you think that it's cool to be an adult and do these things, well, now you should listen to me because it's like something other than information, because I have taken that information and then flipped it into an enjoyable life. If you don't know that about somebody, well then,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do you know that what they're telling you is genuine? That you don't know, and that's the filter that's very, very hard to develop of how do you know who to listen to. I think if you
Yeah.
actually knew how many years somebody was around, I think that would make a difference.
Yeah.
But I think that the thing that I wish or I hoped was that people had a filter for why people were saying, because I don't know what the year was, but there came a point where the only way you could become a loud enough voice on social media, because now it's just a dull roar. There's so much information.
Yeah.
It's so you don't even know the difference between noise and not noise because there's so much. And the one gem that kind of slides through is like, nothing's really new. Everything's old again. Well, anyway, the how I don't know when the date was when this happened, but there was two ways you could become loud enough on social media and the internet. One was talk about evidence based, because you could say it's easy to take this high and mighty stance that doing split squats is wrong because of this research. Now people are going to listen to you, and that segues into the second, because if you're going to talk about a topic and tie it to research, you're attributing it to another voice.
Mm-hmm.
And the absolute best way to get recognized is to say the opposite of somebody who's really
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those two things are totally true. So I would dig you like, so now the question, what do I wish? I wish that people had a filter. Number two, I wish you knew, why the person was really genuinely saying what they were saying, and then be able to discern, what is, what is this reason? Like, why are we doing this? And that's, yeah, because if somebody is saying, if their message is more often talking about what someone else says, and that's the mistake that I used to make, and I still probably do, then you got to, they're garbage. Like there's,
Mm-hmm.
I was garbage. I made terrible mistakes where I was more interested in telling other people why they shouldn't listen to him, her, and her, rather than here's what I do. I'll tell you why I do. I'll tell you why I don't do what I don't do. it's up for you to determine why your hero is garbage.
So what sparks your brain then? What are you like, wow, I really need to understand that more, or I need to learn that more. And it doesn't, I mean, you've got your therapist world, coach world, but there's topics that you must be like, I just, I'm trying to get it more and understand it more. And
yeah. I am not in direct search of a new system, but I'm welcoming it. Okay, so that's like that. That's not directly what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But I'm not against it. I'm not saying I know and a system would be like an overall way of thinking. But I've only presented it once publicly, which it was Jay DeMayo. He had been trying to get me to come to Central Virginia, Richmond, which is a fairly well-known conference every summer, and usually I'd be in Canada basketball or something, and it just wasn't going to happen. Finally, we made it work. I didn't care what he paid me. I said, all I need is an open mic and no time limit, and I don't want to hear about slides. I'm just going to go out. And what I did was I talked about a lot of what we have already talked about, not specifically, but in terms of failures.
Yeah.
And how all of those failures drove me as a person and as a clinician to come up with systems and processes, which I believe has an explanation to the absurd success that Canada basketball has had. Now, I don't want to get into so much of wins and losses, but the fact of the matter is that the epicenter of developing young male basketball players on this planet is Toronto, the greater Toronto area, and there is data to support that narrative. I didn't say fact. And with that, because I'm kind of the architect, Sam Gibbs is my boss, he's my best man, he's one of my best friends, but I think we would all know that, and I told part of this story that he brought me in to kind of get to closer to where we are today, and we're going to keep getting better, where we have clinical systems and processes, data analysis systems and processes, and social systems and processes, where what I'm looking for is how to populate those systems. And particularly if it's social, it can only come from experience. Like you can read whatever book. Like there are books that people think are great, like Covey, Seven Habits or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I think that book's toilet paper. And I think there's a lot of people that are afraid to say that because it's such a well-respected book. I thought it was trash. But I read Dale Carnegie, and I always look it up after I finish a chapter. I look it up and like, oh my God, it's like $6,000 for 2 days, like to do it live. But maybe that's something I'll do. I don't know. I'll go rob a bank or something. So when it comes to clinical systems and processes, it's broken down in such a way that anybody can live because it's meant to bring everybody together. And I'm looking for techniques, methods under that system. But the cool part is like as you learn methods, usually most people teach methods with their own system because it highlights the method. I think that's something I wish people could filter. Like people love saying, well, this is a system. No, it's not a system if it doesn't talk about everything.
Right.
It's a mini system. It might have a systematic approach to a particular goal, but it's not a system. A system is how you may find something that you don't know how to do, something that you're not passionate about, something that isn't easily accessible, but it's the best solution. And if you don't systematize your gathering of information to find solutions that you don't know how to do, then you're missing. You're only doing what you want to do. We have a system for. No, you don't. You don't have a system. You have a way of achieving this thing that is very, very effective. But if you gather your information that only takes you to that technique, what about that? That means you also have to tell me that your technique solves everything.
Yes, right.
Nobody, even myself, would likely have the safety to stand up and call out the ever charismatic instructor. And I'm not sure that they should, because even if I don't approve of what they're doing and their psychology, it's never easy to be in front of the room. Never. So that I understand this whole idea of not asking questions, et cetera, et cetera. but I'm in search of more keys on the key ring, because at the end of the day, the more keys on the key ring, you win. I want, so that's what I'm looking for as a therapist. And I'm so thankful for the opportunities that I have in terms of being able to fix or change. Like I can look back, like for instance, excuse me, when I was at Marsoc, I would not have done anything differently. Everything that I did there was the absolute best that I could possibly do for Charlie in 2010. If you put Charlie in 2020 there, it's a completely different ball game.
Yeah.
And because I'm pretty good at what I do, I'm not embarrassed to say that I have gotten more opportunities to demonstrate that.
Yeah.
And like there are people that, oh, he has no leadership. Yeah, you know what? Then we can figure out some other way to solve that problem, because the people that say that about me, they're the worst leaders there are. You know, it's like, and then, you know, I'll ask a question and then it's like this. They won't answer because they know you're not gonna, it's not gonna fly. So to answer your question, what I'm looking for is keys on the keys open the door, and the more
Yeah.
you have, I want to be like that the butler, you know, that lives in this, you know, 80,000 square foot house, and he has this like key ring, and there's like 100 different keys on it, but he knows which key to open every little door in
Yeah.
that whole house.
But then if you think that way, you're helping more people anyways, right? It's not the rabbit hole, or it's not just the, you know, this person's God or that person knows everything. It's
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
you're picking what's going to work for
whoever.
whoever.
The likelihood that if somebody were to ask, well, how would XYZ fit into what you're saying? I have either paid for the flight, you know, the hotel, paid for the tuition, you know, like, so I can say whatever I want about the course, etc. Or after 2 or 3 exchanges, I will understand exactly, you know, what that model is supposed to claim.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh yeah, you just do it right here. I think you should do this first. You might want to do this second. But yeah, like that makes perfect sense. And I think it would fit. If that's all you do, I think it's terribly incomplete.
Yeah.
That when I put up the clinical systems and processes, there's nothing on earth, because it also ties in the sport coaches, because that's where that could be an easier solution. The last time I went to China, so they're, well, like Canada, they have province. Like we don't have, we have states.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Guangdong province is they had the 2 top junior badminton players, and so I said, all right, before we go, because like they don't get YouTube, like they don't know what that is. So when I'm there, I have a way to override it. So I'm like, let's watch some badminton, because you have to know about the sport. Now I know enough about badminton, so we watched a little video, and you always see when they hit, it's always the same foot going forward, and they kind of land in this hard lunge position. So they have a terrible, I'm pointing at my knee, patellar tendinosis. And these 2 kids, like they were number 1 and number 2 in the province. So that doesn't mean they're Olympian level, especially in China. And they had this horrible knee pain. And now it's like class time. Like, okay, well, show us what you would do. And I'm like, this is, yes, there's a lot of things that we need to do here, including consider injections, or maybe even surgery for patellar tendinosis is not unheard of, but it's bad. Like you really let that go. I said the easiest solution is, how long do you guys practice for? They say in Chinese they practice for 9 hours. This isn't track, okay? This isn't like they're running 8 400s and taking an hour rest, which is a very normal, you know, track practice. I don't know if 8 is the answer, but taking that kind of rest. No, they're literally getting run into the ground.
Yeah.
I said, like, this is all just fitness. Like, I don't know that there's enough cardio, and I don't know that there's enough tissue quality, or whatever bullshit words people want to use, that can overcome that kind of load management.
Right.
I said, like, where's your coach? Oh, this is supposed to be therapy. I'm like, just because your knee hurts doesn't mean therapy, which then goes down this route of systems and processes, we also have to analyze how much time you're on the court and start to appreciate that you can become a better badminton player from things other than badminton. But right now, the priority is you got to shut this down.
Yeah.
Or work on playing with your other hand, which will then beat up your other knee while we protect. And there's certainly high value in using the other side,
Right.
you know, especially in a rotary sport like badminton. So being able to incorporate things that you have no idea how to do so equipment and environment is the first one, and then the second one is technical skills. Maybe we're failing at and like having knee pain is a failure because your technique is bad, and it may have nothing to do with what a therapist or coach would do, because quite honestly, a sport like badminton, you can play your way into shape. It may not be the best way to do it,
Yeah.
but pick up hockey, you can play your way into shape. We see that in basketball, which is you know why basketball has, you know, a culture that it does, because you can play your way into shape. But in American football, you cannot play your way into shape. In global football, you cannot play your way into shape unless you're a midfielder. Okay, you can't just play. In baseball, you can't play your way into shape. Like the game is not played with the same work to rest ratios that practice or other types of settings.
Right.
So we have to be able to look at things. A system will ideally take you to the best solution, and that solution may not be yours, but I need you to know it exists. And that's really what one way to illustrate the definition of train equals rehab. Because look, even West Side just knocked it off. You know, like it would, as someone that supports West Side Barbell, I would have liked to have gotten credit for the title of their Instagram post, which said rehab equals training. You know, hey, I'll live. Guess what, guys? I do have it copyrighted, so be careful. Yeah, but it would have been nice. It would have been nice. Like, I'm not going to be the old man in the hat and start posting and whatever. We're having a conversation. But my point is like, people take those words that I don't, you know, I own them in a certain way, but I don't own. No one owns the words, and they say there's like a million ways to describe it, but I describe it in ways no one else does, which I just did. Rehab equals training is not about rehab and training anymore. It's kind of like transcended. And going back to your question about systems, it is what I think, like, if we could cultivate a mindset that when we look at something and we're evaluating all the information around it, does that information lead you to direct a solution that you personally don't carry out? So your expertise is primarily in fitness, but can you look at a situation that is not generating the fitness that you think is necessary and have enough wherewithal to be like, you know what? I think this might be a nutrition problem. Now, I don't know anything about nutrition, but I do know enough that this is a nutrition problem, or it's a therapy problem where the therapist can bang on that ankle way faster than your ankle mobility drills can create a solution. Or as a therapist, can I very quickly be like, Rhonda, I'm sorry, listen, I promise that you will get everything that you have ever wanted from coming to see me. Unfortunately, it's not going to be me. Well, what do you mean? I think you might need to see a surgeon. If I'm wrong, then we're going to get after it. But right now, I'd rather you spend your resources in seeing a surgeon. Let's get some imaging. If you'd like to see my surgeons that I work with, you'll know very quickly that you're now a valued member of the team. And I don't know a lot of therapists that do that, because I don't know that there's a lot of therapists that can make enough money in one session. So what they'll do is they'll dick around for a month, and then send them to the physician. But again, like you have to do that to gain the confidence in your evaluation skills. And just look, the other thing too, just because you as a physical therapist, just because you send them doesn't mean that they do need surgery. It doesn't mean that they're going to get surgery. Just because you get imaging doesn't mean that you have to do something about it. It's about information so that we have great return on investment We have a great understanding of what we're trying to do or not do. So that's really another way to answer the systems
Mm-hmm.
piece. Where
Yeah.
can it take? I want to get to a place where I am as far away from what I do well, and then it has to be right. Like if I've told people, I said, like, I'm going to tell you, if you'd like to see me, this is what we can do. But because she had multiple pathological fractures, and she found her way to me because she was fitness, she was fit. She probably wore like, fitness clothes. So the yeah, I mean, you know what I'm getting at. I don't want to say anything insensitive, but she looked the part,
Yeah. Yeah.
and but her movement patterns, and then were like very, like, that wasn't the problem.
Right.
So we got to that solution fairly quickly, and I'm like, well, let's put some wheels on the bar. Let's see what you do with weight, because it may not be the same. And there was nothing that I saw that was a gap to create this solution for understanding why she had these multiple pathological fractures. Basically, one that, like, it happens for no reason, except nothing ever happens for no reason.
Right. Yeah.
And that probably would, and that fell into really what would be, I guess, best described as a functional medicine type of solution,
Right.
which is a lot easier to describe as nutrition and blood work.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I never saw her again because I didn't think I could help her. But I knew enough that, like, dude, bones don't break for no reason. She can squat like 135. This isn't a frank bone density issue.
Uh-huh.
So what do I do? I can't help you. Like, well, no, I can refer you to someone else. That's what a system should do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It should take you as far away, because you have, if you can't even think that way, you may, like, miss the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best solution could be like right here, but because you only do this,
Yeah.
you only like doing it, and it's I was speaking at World Golf Fitness Summit many years ago. I've done it now four times, and I probably had more than one slide that involved a kettlebell. So this goof in the front row says, "Well, you're obviously a kettlebell guy," and I didn't really have an opportunity to respond because he was just talking, and I'm like, "I'm not. What are you talking about? Like, just because I use kettlebells doesn't mean I'm a kettlebell guy." And I think that, when you look at the things that Pavel talks about, the kettlebell is just a vehicle to teach what he wants you to know. You could do that with any, like, type of resistance or external load, and that to me is a form of system, because you don't need a kettlebell, but you can use it. You can use a barbell, you can use a dumbbell, you use body weight, but that still takes you into this lane where there's a lot of other things that could create the solution. If you have kind of funneled into, okay, this is what I need this end game, well, then you're going to find the commercial packages to make more sense. But then if you ask about those commercial packages in the context of how I'm describing them, it's like this blur, because they didn't tell you that in your little course. They didn't tell you that you may not always need to use this. They didn't tell you that, well, hey, just so you know, like, this is not, here's our science, here's our evidence, etc. But look, nothing works for everybody. Said no one ever. So if you stick with agnostic forms of evaluation, now you'll just pick the right key, and then you'll also find out when you need more keys.
Yeah.
And that's really an angle that I wish people would be able to identify. I don't know. I don't think you need to be that smart to understand what I'm saying. You just have to not be emotionally connected to trash.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Because I've said for a long time, I'm pretty good at explaining to other people how I'm right, but I am terrible at explaining to other people why they're wrong. So if I get to them first, it's nice. But if somebody else gets to them, and, like, there's no better example of, like, the FMS, where, wait, you telling me I suck? Really? You sure? Like, because I'm nobody. I mean that those concepts are paramount to everything that I do. So you're gonna tell me I'm a fraud? You tell me I'm that bad because you and your you're not you dropped out of your bachelor degree and you work at Lifetime Fitness and you're telling me that because you read an article from some punk that FMS is this and that. Like, wait, really? You really? I mean, come on. At some point, there's some respect that I think is
Yeah.
missing,
Yeah.
and if you don't get to them first, that's where like I think that probably is part of what I'm very proud of. What we were talking about before, and the changes that someone may have seen in me over the last 5 to 6 years is like everything has value. Everything
Yeah.
has value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not as much as your hero thinks, outside of how that generates revenue for them. And everyone should be able to generate as much revenue as they want. And they should do it with whatever level of ethics they choose. But you want to be on a B team, then you keep it up. Keep it up because you can't. It can't be one thing. It
No.
can't be.
No. No.
It can't be one thing. It's got to be many things. And but that's. I think. I think I'm answering what your
Yep.
questions are.
Yep.
So.
And I don't know how much time you're going to give me, but I want to know what. It's all about hacks nowadays, is it not? Like if it's Aura rings, which I love, and red light therapy, which I absolutely love. But do you got anything that you actually go, wow, that has made an impact on my sleep, or it has made an impact on my recovery, or how I'm waking up in the morning? Because
So
I
all
think
those things,
everybody is doing something.
all those things are all over the place for me. Sometimes I sleep well, sometimes I don't. Learning things from Aura is, I've been familiar with Omega Wave, way longer
Yeah.
than
Yeah. Yeah.
how about carbs? So maybe the most vilified nutrition component.
That is true.
Like if you train or if you have any kind of load on your body, whether it's mental, physical, spiritual, if you don't have carbs, like you basically don't believe in science.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it explains a lot. Obviously that's Allie's thing, and I study some things, and then whether it's her or other people that have a similar mindset, I've learned a lot about nutrition to the point that I probably could advise someone, to some degree, but not at the detail that Allie could or other people could. But yeah, like to be the last time I made an effort to really dial in my diet when I was going out to LA. So I lived in LA half the year when the big guy was playing there. And I tried keto because whatever my goals were, that seemed to make sense. It was advised by someone that I had paid, and it was just I couldn't do it. Like it was
Okay,
just
so wait, was that because of just weight loss? Why was that recommended to you?
Weight loss, like the scale was part of it, because one of the things that I always am fighting against is BMI being so short and so big, because that hurts my pocketbook for life insurance.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
look, the reality is that
Yeah.
if you're 5'4", 190 pounds, you're probably not the
Yeah.
healthiest. But I feel like I should have a right to challenge that when you look at my blood work, et cetera.
Right.
So and it was also a component that some of my genetic factors of my lipid profile started to bark a little bit, because it was, I swear it wasn't always like that. And then all of a sudden it looks like I eat fried food all the time. So that was the goal of that. And there was a training program that was attached to it. It didn't fail miserably, but it just wasn't worth what I was paying for it. And look, if you're half the week in LA, half the week in Connecticut, it's a rough lifestyle.
Did you feel like shit though when you were on it?
Nah,
So you don't really.
not really. It's look.
Because I don't know how people can't eat carbs.
Yeah, give me some caffeine and I don't feel like shit anymore, so
Yeah.
it's fine. But then probably, when quarantine here started, which I don't know, it's a little bit different in different parts of the world and country. But carbs, like I can eat. I've eaten like over 300 grams, as a regular day, and I can eat bagels and all sorts of rice. Pasta is a waste simply because it's too caloric, but I can eat it and it doesn't like do anything bad to me. It doesn't like hurt my stomach. It doesn't make me bloated or whatever. But when you put it into an intelligent diet,
Yeah.
I see. I don't know that that's a hack because there's probably a lot of nutrition people that hear this and be like, yeah, duh.
Yeah, but it's just
But
funny that you would say that carbs, because right now that's exactly what it is.
it's also
People are like,
I'm also emotionally connected to it because at this time of year when I'm dealing with multiple NFL players, and most of the guys that I deal with are on the defensive side of the foot, so these are giant humans.
yeah,
And to see that I eat as much as them, or they don't seem, because remember I'm not with them all day, to see them now. There is a player that wasn't directly under my work, but close to. I had nothing, I'm not indemnifying myself, but I had nothing to do with it. He tore his Achilles, and previous he had tore up his shoulder at the end of the year. So as part of his rehabilitation process for his shoulder, as an offensive lineman, he lost about 30 to 40 pounds in a very, very short period of time. And he's still 290, so he's still, a monster. And the way, he plays, he plays in the middle of the line, so they're sometimes a little bit smaller than the guys that play on the outside on the offensive line. And when he tore his Achilles, he was doing something full speed, like he was warranted to do it. His shoulder
right.
was, and I'm like, so if how do you lose 30 pounds in like 2.5 months? Well, you got to have the weight to lose. That's number one. But most of the time, like if you ask me how do you lose weight really, really fast, and you don't give me any context, keto is a very good way to do that. It is the dumbest thing in the world when you are actively training. And then I'm like, I'm talking to the assistant GM, and I'm like, look, I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with his rehab. But I'm going to tell you this. The only way you lose that much weight in that period of time is a particular diet.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're doing, probably some people will call it half-assed keto. I've heard more intelligent people call it athletic keto, where you still have a significant amount of protein, okay? But you still are very, very low carb. Your protein is what makes your Achilles. Your protein is what makes so if you're gonna shift the protein away from synthesis, you're going to then use the protein for energy, which is really, really good idea to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also a really, really good idea to be depleting your connective tissue
Yeah.
of the building blocks. So I'm emotional to that from myself, but then to see this fear, because now I understand it. I understand, this fear of carbs, but is that a hack? I think it's probably easy to say, like, if most people ate more carbs, I think their goals could be a little bit easier to reach.
And I think that is something that's important to touch on like that, because especially females, right? It's because most of them are starving themselves anyways and doing excessive stupid shit. So it's important that what you said, that people are actually understanding that, because I think the whole carb bashing is a little excessive right now. But
that's what makes it a hack, because if no one's doing it and it makes it seem like it's this kind of faux science, then it's a hack. So I don't know if that's a hack or not, but
no, but it's a good topic, because there's a lot of people out there that you just want to do that to, because you're oh my gosh, I ate a bagel. Like, oh my world.
It's especially if you're training.
Yeah. Yeah.
because you can't. Because the other thing too is like I've taken time, whether it's barter or other situations, to train that type of female to help me understand, like, why do they, why does anybody act in a certain way?
Uh-huh.
That's like but I've never done it with nutrition because I don't know that I would be able. I don't know that I have the patience to go back and forth to after a certain point, because it's the same thing with training. It's like if you constantly want to do things other than what I'm advising, then this is why are you paying me? Like this
Hmm.
is dumb. Like this doesn't make any. Now it's one thing if somebody's like, oh, like they always complain, but they still do it and they still bust
Yeah.
their ass.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just That's just their way of communicating in a playful way. But I don't get it when people insist on doing things. So maybe I'll take a nutrition client. I'll do it for free just to see how it goes. I don't know. I don't, because you have to eat carbs. And look, women aren't going to get big unless you eat a ton. And because remember that person is probably working out a lot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and the reality is to get really really big, you got to be taking a needle.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
like that it's so if you don't eat that much anyway, and you're not shifting the normal natural processes of the female body, you're not going to look like that. And the other thing too is what even for men, if you're judging by what you see on Instagram, first of all, a lot more people, including females, are taking a needle than you think.
Uh-huh.
They are not just genetically, predisposition.
Or it's those
And
fake butts. What are with those things? The
listen,
fake butts.
and with the one picture you see it might be like the 30th one they took,
Yeah.
where the lighting is just right. So
I'm like, what is that?
yeah, I don't know. They wear that big giant band around their legs to
The plastic fake butt and the band. I'm like,
time
okay, I
time
got it.
under time under tension.
That's where Instagram's going right now. If it's not
Yeah.
there, it's the music videos and they're pointing at everything. And I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do that anymore. I can't. Just
Well,
give me.
let me ask you. So where you're at, is that still Hockey Town, or is that another town now? They only get it for one
Oh
year.
well, you mean Hockeyville?
Is that what it is? I don't know.
That was 2016.
Uh-huh. So it's
So
that long, yeah.
yes, it's just
And then
that.
it's every year a different. But that's a
Yeah,
big deal, right? That's a
yeah,
big
it's
deal.
a huge deal. Yeah,
So,
well,
so
especially
what so
for
what is
us, our
what is
little
that?
town.
So what happens? So it's Kraft macaroni and cheese, right? That
Craft.
comes in. Everybody
Well,
gets like a big vat of macaroni and cheese.
no, that's not what happens. But it's
Uh
called Kraft Hockeyville. So Kraft sponsors it. It's in the States as well. So
huh.
when we won it, we won 100 grand and we won an NHL hockey game. So the Oilers and the Kings were here. I think right now the winner gets 250,000 or something. But what happened is,
In Canadian money.
well, obviously,
Oh, so that's like $5.
yeah, it's like
That's
nothing.
good. Yeah, yeah.
But we won, and then we raised a little bit of money, but then we got a $3 million government grant. So at least the government
Canadian
money went
money.
to something.
Wait a minute, Canadian,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. So 3 million is like $50. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But the exciting thing is, so we got all these amazing renovations for our rink, right?
Yeah.
So it's just awesome. So
But
some of
but
that
now,
Instagram stuff I'm posting is because we're doing our virtual, we're doing the reveal coming up in like the next
yeah.
week.
And is
So
that budget part of the gym that you'll have kids in?
no, my
No.
facility.
Yeah,
What?
so where you train people is not part of the rink, is not a because
No, that's another rink.
that's a
Nope.
normal thing, like to have the weight gym in the new rinks. Like when I was coming up, I mean it's also New Jersey where we didn't even have a roof, but
No,
so
our
no,
facility is in Vernon, but I
uh-huh,
live in Lumbee. So this
okay,
is small town Lumbee, and then yeah, my business is in Vernon. And so that's
gotcha.
where our facility is right in the rink. It is
Uh,
pristine.
it's nice,
Awesome.
right?
It's
All
really
right.
nice. Yeah.
That's where you put a video of yourself dancing.
Oh, that was a long time ago. We don't do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
anymore.
But well, I bring that up because if you're able to dance at all, much less on social media, you have no reason to not be confident in coming on to talk about something. You have you have a successful business. You have a lot of good things to talk about, and just like the things that I talked about a little bit, you have life experiences that can help put a lot of emotion behind any topic. So you have no reason
No, I
to
appreciate that. Yeah,
you have no reason to be like, oh, this isn't for me. Like, you know what? Opportunities come in weird ways, and that's please don't think that you're not at a level that people would want to hear from you, because
oh
it
no,
does
thank you.
it can be
Appreciate that.
about a lot of things. It doesn't have to only be about things that are unfortunate or that we want other people to learn from, because I think when that's part of you, it becomes part of everything that you say,
Mm-hmm.
in the power and the emotion that you want to convey. I think you'll be just fine. Because if you can dance in front of other people, then
Yeah. Hey, yeah, I'm good.
all right,
Because you know
all
what?
right.
Honestly, most of that I don't give a shit. Right? I'm like, who cares what they think of me? But
Yeah.
it's different when it's Charlie.
I'm nobody. I'm just some dude.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right,
man.
let's call it here,
Yeah, I
and
appreciate it.
we'll we'll have George, put it around on YouTube, and we'll see. Maybe another 4 or 5 people will want to listen to it. But I enjoyed talking. Thank you very much.
Have a good night. Hello,
All
Allie.
right.
Have a good night. Talk to you soon.
She said, hello. All right. All right. Bye
Peace.
bye.